The less you know in advance, the better. I want to get to know the real you. The assessment comes to us from Magnolia Pictures, and that was number 9 films, as well as some others. And if you get that number 9 reference, I absolutely love you guys. This is currently streaming on Hulu, and it was directed by Fleur Fortune, who's done music videos and some other projects, and was written by 3 people. I want you to remember that as I talk about the assessment. It took 3 people to write this. 3. The number of writers on this film was 3, not 5. 3, sir. 3. 5 is right out. Okay, let's just get on with this. So, they're Neil Gareth Cox. I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing at all. John Donnelly and Dave Thomas. No, not the Wendy's founder. And this features Alicia Vikander, the incredibly gifted and gorgeous Alicia Vikander, I might add, who is in Tomb Raider and is actually very, very good. And I'm glad she's getting to do more roles like this where she can flex her acting muscles. There's a joke in there that I'm just going to forget. And she plays Virginia. Yes, people that want to have a child get to meet Virginia. I actually got to see Train in concert. They're as boring as you would imagine. So anyway, Meet Virginia basically goes to assess people that want to have a child. And they are put through a 7-day assessment. Yes, 1 week. Shrieking bare naked lady noises. Where essentially they are put through absolute hell. You want to have a child where you're going to find out what it's like to deal with somebody that's going to act like a child. That's essentially it right there. The 2 parents are Mia, played by Elizabeth Olsen, and she gets out of the ocean at one point, the Olsen Ocean as it were, and I'm like, boy, that water must have been really goddamn cold. In the future, there will be no protection, and you will just get to see everything. Not that I'm complaining. And she has a significant other, Aaron, played by Himesh Patel, who was in Tenet as well as Yesterday. He is a terrific actor. And this also has Andrina Varma, who is in MI7, who's also very gifted and very attractive. And Minnie Driver's in this. I always love to see Minnie Driver in films, because how could you not love Minnie Driver? And it's a dystopian future where you have the have-nots. You must obey the laws of the state. And yeah, that's about it right there. So really, outside of one particular scene, the dinner scene, that many people have pointed to as being the peak of this film, this kind of ends up being a slog. It's decently acted, but it's also very boring. They could have cut easily 15 minutes out of this goddamn thing. It reaches an obvious conclusion, and while I understand what it's trying to say, it has some good social commentary on how, once the government and an entity takes over society, it can get absolutely fucked up, and you must obey, or you will be banished. There's talk of the old world, where maybe people can live, and maybe the resources aren't all that great, and there's population control. Have your pets spayed or culled. Goodbye, everybody. And yeah, just a lot of stuff that's tossed out. Arian does a lot of, or Aaron, rather, even though I keep calling him Arian, but Aaron does PR stuff where he actually came up with a way for people to have virtual pets. No, not like the Tamagotchi, not like that stuff that you forget to feed and it dies and it's in this little pocket thing and you feel awful for forgetting to feed this little piece of technology. Anybody that remembers those things, you are as old as dirt like me. And yeah, from there we basically just get a sci-fi movie with a few neat little ideas, but really nothing that you haven't seen before. 11 executive producers, including Tom Brady, no, not the Super Bowl winning quarterback, and 7 producers. Pretty soon, movie credits are just going to be filled with producers. Like, it's just going to be like 20 million producers. So, 8 minutes into this movie, we get the credits, and then we get the setup with these 2. And it is what it is. I think Alicia Vikander has some nice scenes in this. Elizabeth Olsen's a very gifted actress. There's talent in front of the camera. There just isn't talent behind the camera, because I think the writers had no fucking idea what they were doing. And it ends up seeming like a sci-fi story that was written by people that sustained several major head injuries. There are just parts that just drag on. There are scenes that could have ended way before they did. There were scenes that were unnecessary. If this thing had been 95 minutes instead of 115 minutes, then I would have been okay with that. Ultimately, it just ends up existing. It is on Hulu if you want to check it out. I've seen worse. Do not get me wrong. There are elements to this. The aforementioned dinner scene. I think a couple other scenes are pretty goddamn nice. Having Alicia Vikander in your house for 7 days certainly is not the most unappealing thought, because look at her. Just look at her. That being said, I'm going to get into spoilers. 3, 2, 1, and spoilers. There we go. So basically, Mia's mom kind of abandoned them. Her and her sister went back to the old world, or was banished to the old world. It actually ends up becoming kind of unclear. And Vikander shows up to assess. I wish he'd assess me. And also they have Indria, who does the voice for the Alexa-like thing. I certainly wouldn't mind hearing her voice pretty often. She's got a very nice voice. And then there's a greenhouse that Mia takes care of that has stuff that her, from her, past life, not Past Lives, which is a much better movie, but has like a Venus orchid that was her mom's. Wonder if that's going to come back to into the finish. And Alicia gets to work. Well, Virginia gets to work, taking samples of everything. And you got to keep up with the sex, but she's going to watch. See, I mean, it's okay when Alicia Vikander does it, but if I do it, then I'm just suddenly taken to court. I don't get it. According to a friend of mine, that has to do with laws. Well, curse your laws. Casio! So anyway, now they keep getting deliveries. And meanwhile, Virginia is acting like a kid, wanting to be carried around, throwing food around, disappearing on the beach, nearly drowning. At one point, they must build this playpen thing that looks like a dome. The dome of steel and lenta, baby. And there's all parts must be used. Well, there's this one pipe that they couldn't use. So she threw it into the goddamn ocean. Gee, I wonder if that's going to come back to factor. It does. So essentially, this is a way to test them. And yes, raising a child would be tough. That's why I hate children, because I prefer things to be at least somewhat easy in life. And even though life isn't easy, I don't want to have a goddamn kid. I was an annoying kid. I'm an even more annoying adult, so I don't want to have any children. And why can't Alicia live with... If somebody had their own house and had the luck of having Alicia Vikander live with them, like, boy howdy. Nevertheless, the dinner scene is pretty much where this movie peaks. It's where it picks up, peaks, and then drops. Minnie Driver was there. Minnie Driver's still looking oh so good, as only she can. And there's talk of this one, Sienna and Aaron ended up actually having they talk of these two that they used to be together and they had an assessment, but she backed out of it. Now, this, mind you, is right after Mia informed that she actually had slept with the guy that was there before, that was one of the guys there at the dinner, that was a professor. But she blames Aaron for not telling her about this. Well, you just dropped that bombshell on him. It's fine. It's fine. It's whatever. Now, it makes sense why you would question, if somebody wants to stick around with you, because that is the big thing. A woman can carry a child and the man could leave, but the woman's left basically holding the thing to live, to carry it on. Clarence, I want to live again. And she being Virginia, ends up basically sitting on Minnie Driver's lap and talks about, Minnie Driver talks about, the old world. Anything you can take from nature, she's eventually going to want it back. This honestly drug on, is what I was pointing out. It was actually kind of getting dull. And this is after the dinner scene. Dinner scene was really good. And there's a call from the hospital. And basically, Mia's sister is having major issues. She can't leave, though, because otherwise the assessment will fail. She is then given until 6 a.m., not a moment later, to come back, check on her sister, that kind of stuff, that apparently is on the fucking moon, from the way she's making it sound. And she drives a wedge between the couple by basically fucking Aaron, which, I mean, look, let's be honest. If Alicia Vikander wants to do that, you let her do that. And I thought she was, he was going to get her pregnant, and she was going to give them the kid, or she wanted a kid, or whatever, and I was sort of half right, kind of. So then Virginia gets the pipe and destroys the greenhouse, destroys the whole goddamn thing. And Aaron has had a bad back this whole time, and it's seized up, and Mia manages to rescue her. But then they basically are refused. The application failed. Mia finds the pipe. She destroys the playset. Decides to go off and find where Virginia is. It turns out Virginia is named Grace. Meanwhile, we see just a bit before that Aaron has designed a VR baby, but the VR baby has no smell. He's been working on the VR pets. He's been working on all this stuff, but he just can't nail the smell because it's VR. Because it's hard to fucking do that shit. Basically, what it comes down to is Virginia is named Grace. Grace explains that everybody fails. Nobody has passed in 6 years. It's a way of population control, but also a way of societal control. They just dump all this shit on us. She lost her child, and that's why she was doing this. She was an assessor basically to gain another child or get the child remade, with blackjack and hookers. I mean, I don't know. And the assessing continues. And basically, Virginia arrives and then is sitting in a couple's house. And then they pan back to the bed. She's no longer there. She has jumped out the goddamn window. She can't take it anymore. And then Aaron is doing VR stuff with the kid while Mia goes off to the old world to, I assume, find her mom or do something to clean up stuff and whatever. It really goes off the rails, actually, after that dinner scene, now that I think about it. And I want to give it a lower grade, but C+. It's inoffensive, but it's not something I'm going to watch again. So there you go. That's all I got to say. Agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Recklin, and until we meet again, happy trails to you.